This is Shelly. She is a cattle dog mix, and she belongs to a cattle dog rescue group up in Denver. She was transferred to Colorado Springs Lucky Dog University to be put into the apprenticeship program. Shelly's been kicked out of multiple foster homes for causing dog fights, and she has also killed a goat. And her arousal level is extremely high. She is an extremely stressed out dog, and she has major barrier frustration. So this is what Shelly looked like when she first came in. So here you see Shelly in one of her very first group classes. And again, you see one of my apprentices working her. And again, Shelly is extremely stressed out. She's very hard to be able to hold her attention. Shelly is also known for being a door bolter, which is typical of dogs that have barrier frustrations, especially when associated with a kennel environment, and she could easily bolt out doors. One of the first things that we started working on with Shelly was basically impulse control and trying to lower her arousal level. And it was very, very difficult for myself and for my apprentices. And the main reason why is because Shelly was already stressed out about being in a kenneled facility. The problem with this is that Shelly had no other place to go. And there was rumor about having to be euthanized because there were no foster homes available for her. So this was the only place for Shelly to be. It was one of the worst places for her because her stress levels was so high. But it was what it was, and it allowed her to at least prolong having to be euthanized and to see if myself and the apprentices were able to get anywhere with her. So in the footage that you're looking at, you can see one of my apprentices make many, many efforts to try to calm her down, to try to get her focused. And one of the things that she's working on is getting her to at least lay down and settle. And it is a challenge. She is constantly bouncing up. She is hypervigilant. Here you see making an effort to use a toy as a motivator. This apprentice is doing everything possible to try to get Shelly motivated, and yet in this environment it is so difficult for this poor dog because she is so stressed out. One of the other things that we started working on with Shelly is trying to get her to walk decently on a leash because she was notorious for obsessive compulsive circling. So she would circle around and it was just so difficult to walk her. And you see Katrina trying to do a lure technique. Here you see me working Shelly, and I've slowed this down to slow motion to basically show that when she leaves my side, I'm going to turn to the right and go the opposite direction so that I demote pulling. Again, getting her to understand that pulling and foraging ahead of me is going to stop all forward movement. And again, I turn to the right and again turn to the right to get her to understand that she needs to follow me. And at the same time, I try to reward her being close to me on that left-hand side. Any kind of leaving, it's just a turn and go. So on this next footage, you see another technique where I've backstepped and I've lured her back over to the left-hand side again to demote pulling. And this is a nice technique to use when you're getting tired of doing turning and going to the right because it's making you dizzy. So again, backstepping and then luring her over to that left-hand side is another technique that you can use. in this footage, we work on attention exercises where she needs to come and sit directly in front and stay focused. And here again is one of my apprentices working on backing up about 2 to 3 steps and asking for a sit. Again, this is an attention exercise. It's again trying to get Shelly to stay focused on the handler and trying to work on attention exercises. In this footage, you see her using a combination of sits and downs, and again bridging in a combination of come here, focus, sitting and downing. This footage that you're watching is going to be extended over the next 5 weeks. So we've had Shelly 4 or 5 weeks, and right here you're seeing the very, very beginning of the work that the apprentices are putting into. So again, Katrina, my apprentice, is working on teaching her to walk on the left-hand side. And again, if she leaves that position, she turns to the right and then tries to reward her when she's on that left-hand side. Another thing that we worked on with Shelly was trying to do left turns, and left turns were very difficult. So you see a luring process where she's got the food in her hands, and she's trying to start off with teaching Shelly to follow a food lure that will allow her to do a left turn. So you see the food on the nose right here, which allows her to slightly get ahead of the dog, and again being able to do a left turn. Here is a technique that we worked on to prevent door bolting, and it's really just practicing getting the dog holding a sit while the gate opens. So the goal is you hold the sit until you hear a release cue, and if the sit is broken, then the gate shuts again. So sitting, opening the gate, and eventually working to where you can step out of the gate and release her through. This is a while later, this is maybe 2 weeks later, where we're able to open the gate and have her hold that sit position and then release her out of the gate. On the footage that you're seeing here, obviously a couple weeks have gone by, probably 3, and we're doing some off-leash work with her. Her arousal level has lowered enough to where now she's a little bit more focused, and she's able to focus on toys. And Shelly loves toys. So we're working on sits and downs, and her reward is a play session with a favorite toy. In this footage that you're watching, Shelly has a out cue, and this out cue is to release the toy on cue. Here you see her doing off-leash left side work. Her cue for being on the left side is just basically left side. Here you see a down with a little bit of duration, and I'm marking the behavior good and releasing her out on a play toy. And again, she needs to spit that toy out with a out cue to get her to release. So back into left hand side again, able to practice a couple turns where she follows, asking for a sit, asking for a down that she holds with some duration, and again rewarding verbally and releasing her out for a play session. We use toys with Shelly while we're training with her because number one, it's a motivator, and number two, the more we can get her to play, the more we know that the stress levels are going down. And she's still stressed out, but she's still able to focus. So this footage here that you're seeing, this is probably about the 4th week, and you can see where she's still leaving the left-hand side and basically we're trying to get her to understand that when she leaves the left-hand side, all the work stops, all the forward movement stops, and it doesn't pick up again until she gets back on that left-hand side. Throughout this footage, I've been cutting the volume down so that you're able to get a better visual with understanding what it is that we're teaching. And from this point on, you'll be able to hear how loud this facility really is and how much distraction she actually has while she's living here. Because Shelly has major barrier frustration, one of the other exercises that we worked on was teaching her to go into a kennel and rewarding her for going in the kennel and not becoming reactive. And this was practiced over and over again, and she was rewarded. On this footage that you're looking at, we worked our way up to where she was cued to go inside the kennel, and we shut the door. And usually when you shut the door, she would become extremely reactive. So again, we're teaching her that just going in a kennel and having the door shut is not a big deal. It's associated with some positive reinforcement, and also making sure that she holds her weight cue, again, to demote door bolting. This is probably going into the 5th week, towards the end of the 4th week, and this is Dionysia working her. So we are trying to get Shelly to generalize her training and not to just associate her training with just one person, but with many people, so that when she is adopted out or put into a foster home, she's conditioned to work for many people instead of just one. As you can see here, her left side work is getting much better. Dionysia is able to do all kinds of left turns, which were almost impossible with this dog in the very beginning. And now she's learning to stay on that left-hand side. And when she does that, it either produces food rewards or a play session, which is also great exercise for her. This is going into definitely her 5th week. She is learning to hold that sit going out the front door and through various other doors. And now we're having different apprentices transfer her training from inside to outside. And the goal, again, is to be able to have Shelly be well-mannered in public and not so stressed, and again, having some leash manners. This is another apprentice. This is Jim, and he again is working with her on reinforcing the left-hand side. In this footage, she's a little bit overly excited, and he's having to do more turns, but you also see where she's actually getting rewarded quite a bit. Again, in this footage, I have another apprentice. This is Katrina again. And Shelly is learning to work with Katrina outside of the facility as well. And this is all to, again, get Shelly to be conditioned to more than one handler. So this pretty much wraps up our 5th week with Shelly. Shelly is now going to be going into a foster home. And this YouTube video is produced to be used as a learning tool, and to also see the potential that Shelly is capable of doing in the home and outside in public. And we hope that this footage is going to be of great assistance to be able to pick up where we've left off with her training for people in the future.